Hey everyone, how's it going? Lord Josh here. Welcome back to Taoist Magick. Thank you for watching my previous video in the series where I talked all about ectoplasm and how that relates to Taoist occultism. Now I've got something really special for you here tonight. This is a topic that very few Westerners will ever come across, and it's endlessly fascinating. This was supposed to be my Halloween special, but I got caught up doing work on the Lammat star. I will start this video off with a strong warning, which is something that I very rarely do on this channel. This one's going to be a little more graphic than usual, disturbing, dark, and a little bit twisted at times. If that bothers you, leave now. If that interests you, well, you're in the right place. But I will be covering this with respect. This is by far the darkest video on Taoist magic that I've ever made. At a later date, I will cover the 36 Taoist heavens, which is certainly more appealing to me personally. The aim is to give you, the viewer, a balanced perspective of both sides, yin and yang. So buckle up and prepare yourself to enter the nightmarish realm of Diyu, the Chinese hell. Diyu, the realm of the dead, is a type of Chinese hell afterlife or purgatory which is loosely based on the Buddhist hell. Diyu is depicted as an underground maze-like world similar to that of a giant prison complex with many different chambers, courts and levels where souls are taken after death to be tortured and punished for the sins they have committed on earth when they were alive. Diyu is not one hell but many hells. That's where a lot of people get it wrong. Unlike the hell of Christian mythology, Diyu is not a realm of never-ending suffering. You don't stay there forever. Rather, it is a place where souls go temporarily to pay back their karmic debts in the form of punishments. The more karmic debt you have by committing certain sins such as murder, robbery, animal abuse, the longer your stay will be, but eventually you will be renewed, released, and reincarnated. The purpose of this vast realm is to purify the souls for reincarnation. Unlike other forms of purgatory, the Chinese believe that everyone goes to Diyu, no matter who they are, but the time spent there and the severity of the torture depends on one's earthly misdeeds. And for many people who have committed serious acts such as murder and rape, this can be a very long and painful process which may last thousands if not millions of years. Sinners can feel pain and suffering, but they cannot actually die from the punishments. When their bodies are battered and destroyed, their flesh and bones will be restored to their original state, only for the torture to be repeated again and again, causing many of them to wish and yearn for proper death. The torture varies from being thrown into boiling hot oil or into an ice pond, being placed in the hill of knives, being chopped in half. No matter what happens to you, you never die of the torture. During this process, souls pass from stage to stage at the discretion of the various ruling demonic powers. Only when you have repented and endured the full extent of your agony will you be reborn to go through the cycle again. You can see the ideas of Buddhism really bleeding into the concept of this strange underworld. In early Chinese society, a 2,000-year-old ghost town named Fengdu was considered to be the gateway into the underground world. It has become a tourist attraction, and you can visit and see statues of demons torturing sinners in a variety of awful ways. This whole place was modeled to resemble the forever dark Yidu, the capital of Diyu. Supposedly, it is full of ghosts, and some Chinese people even believe the devil himself resides there. After physical death, your soul will be brought to the ruler of the first court of hell, Qin Guang, a Chinese underworld deity, often known as the first of 10 kings. Upon meeting him, you will be forced to view a special mirror, sometimes known as a karma mirror, that allows the person to watch their sins and bad deeds unfolding like a movie. If the mirror shows your terrible crimes, then expect a long stay in one of the layers of Diyu. In some rare exceptions, and I mean very rare, men and women of high virtue will be excused from judgment and will travel over a silver or golden bridge to reach paradise. Such people are usually monks or senior Taoist masters who devote their lives to helping others with acts of benevolence. Think of legendary people like the Eight Immortals or brilliant historical figures like Zhuge Liang. For the vast majority of us, one of these layers will be reserved for us. In Chinese mythology, it is said that the Jade Emperor put Yan Lu, the King of Hell, in charge of all judgment and all affairs in Diyu. He was said to have been replaced by King Qin Guang due to being too lenient with his punishments, so in other words, he was too soft on the poor souls there. Each layer and court has its own ruler. The exact number of levels and chambers differs. Some say there are 3 to 4, but typically there are 10 courts of hell ruled over by what's known as Yama kings, who work like judges in different layers of hell, specializing in different atonements. Within Chinese mythology, some believe there are 12,800 hells located under the earth itself, 8 dark hells, 8 cold hells, and a whopping 84,000 hells located on the edge of the universe. Could you imagine if you were in China and you said to somebody, go to hell? You could respond back and say, which one? You know, it doesn't really work over there, does it? There's a hell for every kind of sinner. Whenever I look into Diyu, I always get major Hellraiser vibes with the Cenobites. I think it would make a really fantastic premise for a good, bloody horror movie. There are 2 very unusual guardians who act as messengers to the King of Hell. These creatures are known as Oxhead and Horseface. They both have bodies of men, but one has an ox's head and the other a horse's face. They are traditionally viewed as being the first entities that a soul would encounter upon entering into Diyu. In many of the legends, they escort the dead to the underworld and capture souls to bring them to the courts of hell. I'm going to go through what is known as the 18 layers of hell. This is different from the 10 courts of hell. So this is where it gets gruesome and bloody. The 18 layers is a concept that was introduced during the Tang Dynasty. A Buddhist text called Sutra on Questions about Hell mentioned a great number of hells, 134 worlds to be exact. In order to make it less complicated, it was eventually shortened to the 18 that we have today. Each hell is especially equipped to deal with a very specific kind of sinner, and the criminal and the punishment is thought to fit the crime. In the correct order, number 1, the hell of tongue ripping. Okay, that's right, reserved for those who gossip and stir up trouble. So all those people who talk behind your back, the drama queens, the ones who thrive off of scandals and hearsay, you know the people I'm talking about. They will have their mouths broken and their tongue removed very slowly to prolong the torture. This will be their penalty. Number 2, the hell of scissors. Those who break up and destroy the marriages of other people will have their fingers chopped off. So for all those who try to separate you from your loved ones, your husband or wife, they will end up here with all 10 fingers removed in the most painful of ways. Number 3, the hell of trees of knives. Those who cause disharmony within the family members of others will be hung from iron trees. The branches on these trees are razor sharp, and the person can remain hung from them for many years. Number 4, the hell of mirrors of retribution. In this area, to those who escape punishment and justice for their earthly crimes, they will be forced to look into a mirror to see their true nature and see every crime they have committed. It involves making the person confront their deepest, darkest aspects of themselves. So this is a lot like psychological torture. Think of all the people who run away from their terrible mistakes, and many of them get away with doing this, not in the realms of Diyu. Number 5. Hell of Steaming, a chamber of the underworld for hypocrites and those who spread false information. Such people will meet their punishments in a steamer. Number 6. The Hell of Copper Pillars, a realm for arsonists and those who deliberately set fires. Their punishment comes in the form of a boiling hot copper pillar which the sinner is tied to. With their arms and legs wrapped around the pillar, it grows hotter and hotter until it eventually turns red and burns the sinner relentlessly. That's painful. Number 7. The Hell of the Mountain of Knives. This one is rather self-explanatory. Those who kill sentient beings such as animals without any reason or for pleasure will face a punishment that will force sinners to climb and scale a mountain full of sharp knives. Number 8. This one I think is really unusual. What is the last thing you think of when the word hell is brought up? Well, firstly, most of us think of fire and darkness. But what about ice? This one is called Hell of the Mountain of Ice, sometimes called Iceberg Hell. Schemers and deceivers and adulterers are stripped naked and left on a freezing cold mountain. This one is quite tame compared to the others. I think if I had a choice, so far I would pick this, but still, being out in freezing cold temperatures with no clothes on would be a terrible experience. Number 9. Hell of Oil Cauldrons, a place for rapists, thieves, abusers, and false accusers to be stripped naked and thrown into a giant cauldron of lava, boiling hot water and fire. This would be excruciating. Number 10. Hell of the Pit of Cattle. This is the hell for those who abuse and torture animals. In ancient times, it was a place for those who tortured their livestock. So now the hunter becomes the hunted, the bully becomes the bullied. Animals such as bulls and cows will attack and trample the sinner mercilessly. Now that sounds pretty good to me, I like that one. Number 11, the Hell of Boulder Crushing. This one sounds painful. Those who abandon or kill babies will be forced to hold a heavy rock above their heads while standing on a small platform surrounded by putrid water. Eventually, the heavy rock will snap their backs and the sinner will fall into the toxic water below. Number 12. The Hell of Mortars and Pestles. This realm is for those who waste food. So to punish them, sinners are force-fed red-hot rocks, hot chunks of metals, and even fire. Demons force them to eat the boiling hot bits, which causes the mouth, throat, and stomach to burn. Eventually, the hot metal burns through the stomach, carrying with it the intestines of the sinner. A very brutal fate. Number 13. Hell of the Pool of Blood, a realm reserved for those who do not respect others. I can already tell you that this place is going to be pretty crowded. Here, they will be thrown and soaked into a pool of blood. Not too bad by these standards, right? Number 14. Hell of the Wrongful Dead. This one is really interesting to me. By altering your own karmic destiny, in other words, if you commit suicide, the belief is that you will end up wandering a desolate city, sometimes called the town of suicide, with the rain of pain and the wind of sorrow falling down upon you. I would imagine this realm is similar to limbo. In a lot of Eastern traditions and cultures, actually killing yourself is considered a sin because it goes against the natural system of reincarnation. Number 15, Hell of Dismemberment, a realm for grave robbers, tomb raiders, and those who dig up the graves of others. They will be punished by being torn into pieces. Number 16, Hell of the Mountain of Fire. Thieves, robbers, and those who are corrupt will be thrown into the fire of a giant volcano. Number 17, Hell of Mills, a realm for those who abuse their power and subdue the weak. Think of corrupt and tyrannical politicians or wicked people in high positions of authority. They will be punished by being crushed in a stone mill. Lastly, number 18, Hell of Rotten Bananas, a realm reserved for evil shopkeepers who intentionally sell rotten bananas to the public. The shop owners face punishment where a giant banana eats them by peeling them over and over again, peeling their skin and taking a bite. Of course, that's complete BS. I'm just joking. I'm trying to lighten the mood a bit here. These are heavy subjects with the gruesome bodies being ripped apart and people being set on fire. All silliness aside, the real final hell is called Hell of Soaring, a realm for those who abuse loopholes in the law and involve themselves in unethical business practices. They will be sawn in half by various monsters and demons. And that's the 18 layers of Diyu. When the time comes for you to finally leave Diyu, you will be brought to the 10th court of hell, which is also the final court. And from there you will deal with a deity known as King Zhuan Lun, who controls how you will reincarnate. For example, if you still have some evil in your soul, you may be reborn as an animal, such as a pig or a goat, or maybe even an insect if you get really unlucky. Once he has made his final decision, you will be forced to drink a special mixture called the Tea of Forgetfulness or the Cup of Oblivion, made by the deity Meng Po. It's her job to ensure that all of the reincarnated souls forget their past so they aren't burdened by them. Once drank, the tea causes permanent amnesia, and all memories of their previous lives and their horrific torture in Diyu are completely wiped, so the person can start afresh. However, as many of us know, past lives and remembering past lives are a pretty big part of magic for a lot of occultists. I run a Taoist Facebook group, and I've been in contact with several dozen good magicians recently who say they have extremely great recollection of their past life experiences. Perhaps this means the drink only partially works in some people. I wish I had an epic story to share with you, but sadly, as far as I can tell, I do not recall any past life memories. So now, here are my honest thoughts of this subject. This is just my own opinion. You're welcome to disagree. First of all, the golden question. Do I believe in Diyu? Do I think it exists? Yes, I do. I don't have to think very long to give you an answer on that. I think it exists just like the 36 heavens. And actually, despite the awfulness of Diyu, it serves a greater purpose. It conveys a message. If you commit crimes, if you wrong your fellow man, if you engage in acts of evil, even if you escape earthly justice, even if nobody knows about it, you will be held accountable in Diyu. At the very least, people should be mindful of this next time they think of harming someone else. I think in that sense, it serves a practical purpose. Also, unlike most magicians today, I believe in good and evil. I believe in right and wrong. I'm not a fan of subjective morality. There is such a thing as an act of kindness and an act of malice. As society continues to drift away from this simple but true fact, places like Diyu will be overrun with souls who end up staying there for longer durations of time. That's what I would take away from all of this. So thank you for watching. This was a real departure from my usual subjects. I'll see you soon for more Taoist magic. Take care.